In this lesson we will be creating a slightly more complex ring using some newer tools like the curve mesh that we saw in the first part of the lesson and our wrap to faces command for a morph. We'll start off with the curve mesh ring that we created earlier on in this lesson. Okay, now the complexity of this ring will likely mean we run into issues from time to time, so problem solving will be required to find the solutions, and it'll be good for you to see these steps. In previous builds we were able to keep the history relatively tidy, but in this one the history will likely become very large and we want to minimize the amount of times that we have to regenerate the history. We will also want to keep the gemstones and the morphs, the more complicated commands, towards the end of our build. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to open up the file we created before, our curve mesh ring. Okay, so here is our curve mesh ring. It's in two segments. First of all, let's blank out. Okay, we'll keep it in two segments, but I'm going to add end caps to this one first. So I'll come into the heel and I'm just going to fill the gaps. Okay, I could equally use my end-sided to fill these gaps. Okay, so let's unblank. I'm going to erase the curves, these curves, and some datum planes. I'm just tidying up my environment before I begin the build. Take out this one. Okay, let's come back into that erase, pick these again. Pick those curves again. Middle click. Okay, I'll save this straight away. File, save as, creating a different file because we want to keep our template, our curve mesh template. We may need it again or want to use it again. So lesson 22 leaf Asscher. Save. Okay, you can see in the history, this is just on a side note, how our model stop is within this folder. If we just click play, it's going to let our model stop jump to the left and it will no longer be in that folder. So now our history operations will be created outside of this folder. Okay, I just like to keep the history tidy as best I can. Okay, now let's come in and we'll come to the driving parameters and we'll tweak this shape until we see something that we want. It's already a pretty nice shape, interesting shape there. Maybe a bit chunky for what I want. I'm going to drop down some of these values. Okay, so I'm going to have it like this. This is going to be quite a nice big and puffy ring. I'm going to confirm it here. We'll save this. Now I'm going to come in with my center gemstone, pave place stones. Okay, I'm using an Asscher cut gemstone. Let's give it gemstone type. We'll use a garnet. Dimensions, I want an 8 by 8 Asscher. place it on the center gemstone datum. Okay, I mispicked that, unpick last. Let it snap on there. Okay, I'll confirm. Maybe I should have raised it up a little bit. Change my step size. Give it 0.3 elevation. Okay, I'm going to drop a setting on this. Gem settings, I'll use the wire setting. Okay, pick the Asscher setting. This is first one. We had an 8 by 8. Preview that. Drop it on there. Okay, we can't see. Great preview. Let me just cancel out of this, and I'm going to blank out my ring shank. Come back in with the wire setting. Asscher 8 by 8. Drop it on. Preview. Okay, we're going to want to make this a bit more chunky. Let's first of all change the gem length bottom. We'll make this a 6 by 6. It's going to take our taper out. Okay, these are fine. Okay, I think I want to increase the size of my prongs. So prong diameter bottom, say 0.75. Prong diameter top, try millimeter. Okay, I'm going to keep it around there. I think I like the bend in this case. Bezel length below girdle, let's decrease this to a 2. Maybe we'll drop it a bit as well. Negative 0.2, let's see how that looks. Maybe we'll drop it to full negative 0.3 to be elevated the previous gemstone to. Let's beef up these prongs a bit. Increase our prong height slightly. Okay, I'm going to confirm that. Don't need to tweak, we'll come in straight away, merge this setting as a base, and I'm going to erase the lower 2 portions. Okay, so there we have our setting, our Asscher and our wire setting. Okay, now let's come in with a chamfer. For our seat, chamfer, let's use the regular one, pick it all the way around. Okay, I've picked the wrong one there. Okay, I'll leave it there. Bring back that center stone. Unblank all. Okay, I'm going to blank out that center stone, and I'll blank out my setting as well. Oops, I'm erasing, I don't want to be doing that. Blank. Let me unpick, unhighlight all, blank. Blanking out the setting, middle click. Okay, next up I want to come in and create the undercarriage, the piercework on the inside of the ring. Okay, to do this I'm going to use a similar method that I've used before. In fact, it is the same method, and that's unfolding the face to a plane, creating the piercework, then refolding it. So we come into the freeform tab, unfold the plane, pick the face. Okay, the orientation seems alright. Let's just set the horizontal to be sure. Confirm. Okay, I'm going to blank out these shapes just so we can see a bit better. Let's right click, insert sketch on our top datum plane. Right click, I'm going to reference, use the first method, our curve reference. Reference these edges. Show target. Let's come in with an offset. Say 1. Pick the curves. Okay, we'll want a -1 in this case. Maybe a -1.25. I want to make sure, even a 1.5. I want to make sure we have enough room on the outside, the border here. Confirm. Now I'm going to create a little design. So I'll come in with an ellipse. First point, second point. Let's give it some width. 1 by 1 maybe. That's a circle. 1.5. Maybe 0.8. Okay, this will do. Confirm. I'm going to pattern. Rotate the pattern. Pattern circular. About the bottom of the ellipse there. Number will increase and we'll keep the 60 degrees. Okay, we're just going to create a little flower shape. Let's hide our dimensions and our constraints. Come in with the power trim. The one touch trim, the power trim, and we'll trim out the inside. Highlight and delete this. Okay, maybe I want to change this slightly. The pattern, I think I want to have have 5 and the pitch. There we go. Let's hide our dimensions. Our constraints again will come with the power trim. Erase this middle bit. Now I'm just going to copy this. Maybe I'll scale it. Let me inquire the distance first. Okay, this is quite large. I'm going to scale it down a bit. This is 0.75. Now we'll come in and we're just going to copy this from point to point. And I'll put in a little rotation. Maybe I'll scale this as well. We can do them different sizes. Might be a bit more interesting. Okay, so I think this will do for the pattern. Then we come in and we do our edit, geometry, intersect region, first region. I'm going to pick everything, then holding down the control key, unpick these curves. So I'm just holding the control key in when I'm window picking these curves. Okay, second region, just these 4 curves. Confirm, and let's see how this works out. Okay, we're going to have to come in and tidy this up a bit. A little bit concerned about this distance here. Okay, it's not giving us a lot of space. I'm going to undo that and move this. I'm going to erase this one. Let's move this one over a bit. And then we'll come in and copy. Okay, so we should have a good distance. Let me just check everything else. I'm going to delete these ones on the outskirts. Okay, now let's come back in with our edit, dimension, intersect regions, window pick, control unpick, second region, just these curves. Okay, let's come in and assess this. Okay, we've got a problem going on here. It's not had a nice job there. We'll use the power trim. I'll just trim this out. Here we've got an open edge here. Just come in with a blend. Okay, let's exit back out onto our part level. I'm going to extrude, profile, right click, insert curve list. Let's extrude, say a negative 0.75. One-sided, negative 0.75. Okay, it's not coming in with end caps for some reason, so let's just add these in ourselves. Heal, fill gaps, picks up the edges, all the edges automatically. Okay, then we'll come shape, extrude, picking the sketch, we'll do symmetrical extrusion. We're removing from this shape, keep end caps, let's set it all up before we grab our pierce work. Confirm. Okay, there's the extrude cut. Seems like we have some strange face come in here. Not sure what that's about, let's erase it. Okay, we have some open edges. Okay, it's open. Let's come into the sketch and see what's going on there. Okay, let's take a look at the sketch, see what's going on. Maybe we have 2 lines in here or something. Yes, we did. We had 2 lines in there, so I just deleted one. The extra line was creating an extra face. We'll exit back out into a 3D environment. Replay. Okay, we don't need to erase that extra face, and we have a closed shape now. So let's right click, unblank the top portion of our ring shank, and now we'll refold using our wrapped faces command. Wrapping by refolding an unfold feature. The geometry is the pierce work, and the source we're letting it pick our original unwrapped face. So confirm that, and our pierce work will be thrown in. Let's erase these curves now. Chain pick, middle click. Okay, now it looks like our pierce work is coming out of our ring shank here. Okay, so I want to trim this pierce work to this face. In fact, we're going to trim it to an offset face. Offset this face, let's say a negative 0.2, and we'll give it a color, red. Confirm. Can't see it, it's inside. We'll blank this shape. Okay, there it is, that's what we want to trim to. We're going to have to extend these faces first to make sure we're getting a clean intersection all the way through. I'll extend these just to be certain as well. Okay, it seems this is in 2 halves. Let's make sure we're grabbing it all. Get a nice clean extension, we don't need it that far. Not that it matters. Confirm. And now we will do our trim. Shape, trim, trimming this shape to our other shape. We're going to want to flip the sides to keep, we want to cap the trimmed region. And we don't need to keep the trimming shapes. Confirm. Okay, so we've got a nice clean cut there. I want to come in and just fillet this. Well, we'll do that later on. In fact, I'm going to right click, unblank. Okay, so now we have it sitting nicely inside of there. Okay, so our next step is going to be, in fact I can blank out this pierce work now. We'll be bringing it back in later. Hold down the Alt key to pick it, middle click. I'm going to unblank the lower portion of my shank. Okay, so now we can come in with our leaf shapes. Okay, we're going to create them in a sketch, we'll extrude them, and then we're going to wrap these onto our surface of our top part of the shank. So let's start off by right click, insert sketch, top datum plane, and we'll create some leaf shapes. Show target. I'm going to come in with a circle first of all. Let's give it a radius of 1.5, that's a 3mm diameter at the origin. Set this to be construction geometry. Okay, so I'm going to create this geometry with a bit more control. I'm going to start off with a spine for my first leaf. In fact, I'll do that for all of the leaves coming from the origin. Let me dimension these. Say 8, say 7, this one, say 6. Let's come in with angular dimensions between them. Say 40. Drag this one out. In fact, I want to do this dimension. I'm going to erase that. I want to do that dimension from the center as well. start at 80. Okay, and I'm going to toggle these. Now I'm going to come in with some arcs for our leaf shapes. Okay, and I'll link up these radiuses to be equal to one another. Okay, I want to avoid getting any of those auto constraints thrown in. Okay, so it looks pretty messy right now, but we'll try and tidy that up. Okay, so I want to link up these dimensions to one another so we have symmetry. Let me double click on this one, select dimension, pick this one. Now I'll right click and I'll blank it out. Okay, let's do it for these as well. We have a radius here. We'll modify this one, pick dimension, that one, blank. Finally, right click, modify, pick dimension, right click, blank. Okay, so let's tweak these leaves. I'm going to want to increase this or decrease this radius to fatten up the leaf. Let's say 4.5. I'm happy with a 3.5, I'll start with that. Down here. So 4.5, I think I'm going to shorten this as well. .25. I will decrease this and really fatten it up. 2.5. Okay, remember I want to be getting gemstones in here, so we need to leave enough room for some gemstones. And I want these to be touching, at least a bit, just so we have a bit of structural support. Now we'll mirror across to the other side, these two leaves, middle click. Okay, now when we mirror, we do lose some constraints, so let's just ensure that these are still linked up by modifying. Okay, so that's not linked up. Okay, so we need to come in with some constraints. Point coincident constraints, going to constrain the two endpoints to stay attached to one another, so when that happens we should see a blue dot thrown in, like this blue dot here. So to do this coincident constraint, because they're already touching, I'm going to grab the points by coming on to each line. There we go. Middle click. Okay, they're linked up now. Right, let's exit back out into the part. Here's our leaf sketch. I'm going to extrude this. One side, in fact two sides, and I'll start. Let's say I'll do a thickness of 1.25 overall. Okay, so I'll start at 1, that means I want to end at negative 0.05. The reason I'm not just doing a one-sided extrusion, I'm doing two-sided just a little bit. The reason for that is I want to be able to see that when I wrap this face, I want to just see a little bit sticking out so I can determine where to position it. Okay, and I have this as a base. I want the end caps, and I don't need to keep the profile. Confirm. Okay, it's coming as red. Why not? We'll leave it at that. Okay, the next step is determining where we're wrapping these leaves to. So I'm going to have some leaf here, on both sides. I want to have some coming out here, and the rest I can mirror. So what I'm going to do, and the reason for doing this will become clear, is first of all copy these shapes along a direction. I'm going to copy each of the leaves and the datum planes. 1, 2, 3. Direction, y-axis, just a distance of, let's say, 10, and I want 2 copies. Okay, I'm doing this so that I can wrap these shapes separately and tweak each shape separately so that I can make the shapes all fit together nicely. It will be essentially like a little puzzle, organising the shapes on this surface so that they fit nicely together. So let's begin our morphs. I'm going to save. I want to morph these 5 onto this surface. I'm going to come in with an ISO curve to help me line up my wraps. Pick the face. Let me use this final method. I don't want the V lines. Let me give these a colour, green or turquoise. Confirm. Okay, so we have some curves in here to help us orientate our shapes. Now let's come in with our morph, or raptor faces morph. And we're using our first option, the geometry. This is our shapes. The datum, it's going to be the top datum. Okay, this is why I copied the datums so that we can pick the datums for each shape. The origin, or the faces, sorry. Well, it's this face. Now we pick the origin. Okay, there it is. We know we're going to need to rotate. 180 rotate. Okay, and look, I've extruded these in the wrong direction. So I have to cancel out of this. Come to the extrude, right click, redefine. I need to switch these around. Or what I can do is change the direction. It's currently in the Z direction. Let me flip it to the negative Z. Okay, flip it around. Okay, because when I do my wrap, I want the bulk of the leaf to be inside of my face here. I want it to be under the face. So let's try that again. Wrap the faces, geometry, middle click, datum, top, face, middle click. It's already got the rotation. Here you can see it's going inside now. Okay, so the first one, I want to bring it up here. Let me just place this, confirm, and I want to unblank my wire setting, just so I can see a bit of where we're coming up to with the wire setting. Bring back the stone. Okay, so I can push this closer. Okay, this is looking not bad to me. Let me redefine the morph. Redefine, and we'll position it maybe just a little bit closer. You can see that the alignment is not quite right there. Slight rotation, let's say 79.5 to get that dead on. And I'll confirm it here. And I'm going to keep the original. keep these original shapes. Okay, let's come in, wrap to faces with the next shape. Picking the datum, this time the datum corresponding to it, faces, origin, and we're coming in on this side. Bringing it up to the top again. Our orientation is off. I'm wondering if these UV lines that I created are actually true to the vertical. So I'm going to do it by eye a bit more. Let's rotate that back. In fact, what I should have done instead of those isocurves, if I cancel out this, is used in the wireframe the intersection curve so that I can get exact intersections of this face and the datum plane so that I know exactly the horizontal and vertical. Let's see if these are going to be the same as the isocurves. We'll set them to be blue actually. And they are. They actually are the same. So maybe the morph was just playing up a bit. Let's come back and reperform that morph. I don't need these wires. Shape, wrap to faces, picking the geometry, middle click, datum, face, and now we'll pick the origin. I want the back view, but it doesn't matter, I'll be mirroring anyway later on. Okay, so let's get this tucked in there nicely, and then we'll have to come in, get this orientated better. Okay, so I don't really like how this is not orientating at the top to the bottom. So I'm going to confirm it like this. Okay, we've got a collision here, but this is nice, it will add some strength. I'm going to shape, move, pick this shape. Let me move the handle in our dynamic move. We'll bring the handle out. Move it up. I'm going to just twist this slightly so that we get the nice orientation. There we go, we're lined up a bit better. Okay, so that's good. Now I want to keep the symmetry, so I'm going to erase these two shapes. And likewise for the opposite side, we're just going to be mirroring, using lots of the mirroring command to speed up our build. So we'll mirror these over to the other side once we have our gemstones in there. Likewise here, over there. Okay, in that morph I did not need to keep these shapes. Let me come back and redefine that. Okay, so this morph has failed. Now this is sometimes an issue with our morph commands. Sometimes they require a redefine just to confirm them. Okay, for some reason they don't always like to play or replay when we regenerate the history. So that is a bit of a pain, but there's nothing we can do about that. So when we replay the history, we have to just edit the morphs and then confirm them. And you'll see me doing that plenty throughout during this lesson. So let's edit this morph. Don't need to keep the original. The reason I kept these originals is because I'm going to use one of them for another wrap later on. Okay, so now let's come in, complete our moves and arrays. Entity. Okay, it's making us repick that. Okay, we'll save. Okay, we're going to come in with our final wrap. Okay, now this wrap, I know we're going to have to tweak these shapes. You know, in fact, I think I might even want to tweak this morph here just to bring this down a bit. I need to scale it slightly. So let me do that. I'll come into that morph 3. I'm just going to have to edit, like I said, morph 2 and confirm it. So before I edit morph 3, I'm going to scale this leaf non-uniformly, plane, center, pick the center at the end point. I just want to scale slightly in the Y. That's probably enough. Edit the morph. Okay, you can see how I've brought it down now. Confirm that. See if the move is going to update it nicely. And the erase. Okay, so we just brought down this scale, maybe a bit too far, but I'll live with that. I can trim it out later. And this is the way that we're going to be doing our tweaking, our rearranging of our wrapped leaves, is by, prior to the morphs, we're going to be scaling, moving them, and then wrap them again to see how they fit. So let's come in with the next wrap. Wrap the faces. This one, let's see how it lines up. Pick the datum, faces, origin. Okay, we want to pick it on the face. Okay, so obviously we need some rotation in here. Let's bring it back. Okay, and this one we're going to want to put it in here. Okay, and I can see that we'll want to do some pretty big tweaks for this one. Okay, the rotation I like, but the rightmost leaf, I'm going to note these down. The rightmost leaf, I'm going to want to increase it in length, scale it up a bit, maybe by 1.3 scale. The one next to it, I'm going to want to decrease its scale in the Y by maybe 0.8, and I also want to give it a rotation to the right along with that one on the far right. So we'll rotate them slightly. The middle leaf, I'm going to want to decrease the scale, let's say 0.8 as well. We'll start off with that. The second from left, again I'll decrease it by 0.8. And the leaf on the left entirely, I'm going to want to increase the length in the Y, let's say a 1.3 scale. And maybe a 1.4 scale. And the orientation, we'll leave it as it is. I'll also thicken it up in the X scale, so let's say a 1.2 in the X. Let's see how this goes. We're going to cancel out of the wrap. Now we're going to do our scales and our moves on these shapes. First of all, I want to insert datums on the endpoints. Okay, now I want these to be XY datum planes. Offset, we'll leave it at 0. The origin edges, put it at this endpoint. Okay, we need something to scale. We need a plane, a direction to scale in that is in the orientation of this leaf. So let's rotate the Y. Okay, that looks good. Confirm, middle click, Okay, I'm going to do the same again. This leaf, XY, 0 offset, and we'll rotate it. Okay, this may not make sense why I'm doing this now, but it will do shortly. And we'll mirror these to the other side. Okay, so when I come into the scale, we pick an entity, but then we need to pick a plane. Now the plane, if we were to pick this plane, means that the X scale would be in the X direction of this datum plane, which is not in the length or width ways that we are after. Okay, we want the Y scale or the X scale to be in line with the orientation of the leaf, which is why we created these other datum planes. If we pick this one, now when we scale in the Y, see how it is orientated correctly. The center, we'll pick it at the endpoint. Okay, so for this left leaf, we said we wanted to scale about 1.4 in the Y and 1.2 in the X. Confirm. Middle click, the one next to it, pick the plane, pick the center. We wanted a decrease in the Y, 0.8, and we should decrease it in the X to match this up. There we go. Middle click, scale this one. We do not need to create datums for this one because the orientation is already correct with this datum plane. Center they will specify the corner. This one we said a decrease of 0.8 as well. Okay, I feel like these may be a bit of steep decreases looking at them, so I'm going to say 0.85. We'll see what it looks like. We can come back and make changes. Again, this one, plane, center. This one was a decrease, say 0.85. Confirm, middle click. Now this one was an increase in scale. Let's say we said 1.3. We'll give it a slight X scale as well. Okay, now we did say we wanted to move some of these, so let's move. We're going to move, we're going to rotate about a direction. This axis, and we'll rotate. Confirm, middle click, rotate this one. Okay, that's not the thing that I want. Let's change our entity filter. Angle, a bit more. Okay, and then we'll do a move on these two. Confirm. Now let's try that wrap again. Pick the geometry, pick the datum, pick the faces, and now we're picking the origin. Okay, so you can see how we made the changes, and now this is starting to line up a bit better. Okay, so if we were to come in and place it here, let's have a look what we need to do to tweak it to get this to look a bit better. So this one here, I'm going to decrease the width of it. Okay, let's scale it down maybe 0.9, and then I'm going to move this one, I'm going to take out that rotate I did before. I want it to be sort of coming tip to tip with this one. Okay, but I like how these are connecting at the tips. Okay, likewise I like the tips here, they're connecting well. Okay, this one I think is fine, and this one, let's see, well maybe I'll decrease the width slightly of this. In fact, with this last one, I'm just going to rotate it about the center point so that this comes out closer to the edge. So that's just to rotate slightly about the center. This one's fine, this one's fine. This one width decrease, and then this one take out the rotation. But other than that, we should be good. So let's cancel. So we have to drag the model stop up prior to our first wrap, which was morph 2, because it won't play automatically. Edit, confirm, play, edit the next morph, confirm. Let's come down, putting the planes in, mirroring. Okay, we have the scales. So this scale, that's fine. This scale was fine. This one fine. This one, we want to do a slight scale in the X, decrease 0.9. 0.9, should we try 0.8? I'm going to do a 0.85. Okay, the rest of the scales are fine. The move, this move, I don't want to do that move anymore. I'm going to cancel it. In fact, I may even move it in the opposite direction, just to give myself a bit more room. This move, I'm going to tweak it in. Okay, then we had another move, which was good. Finally, I want to move this one. We're going to use a dynamic move. Okay, I picked the face, I should have picked the shape. I have to be careful we're picking the right entity. Move handle, let's bring it up. Take off the move handle, and I'm going to rotate it slightly. And we have to slide it out a bit as well. Confirm. Now let's try that wrap again. Wrap to faces, pick the shapes. Okay, you can see how this is like a game of puzzle. Trying to get all of our shapes to fit nicely together. But when we get that result at the end, it is worth it. Okay, and this is looking better now. Okay, remembering we are coming with stones in the gaps. So let's see. If we had it here, if anything I want to scale this in the Y just slightly bigger. Slightly bigger. This one I'm going to scale in the X slightly to make it more chunky. Then we'll come on to this one is doing well, it looks good. This one is fine, maybe we'll just scale it slightly in the Y a little bit more, just to bring it over. This one, well, I'm going to come in with another leaf in here, so I may have rotated that a bit too much, but I'll work with that and see how this looks. I'll leave it. Okay, so we just need a couple more tweaks to make this perfect. Again, we're going to have to come back in the history and redefine our morphs. It's irritating, but it's just the way the game is played. this scale, I'm not going to have it so large. So let's say 0.85. This scale, okay, that was fine, we were happy with this one. This scale, we wanted it slightly larger again, and the Y, so let's say 0.9. One more scale. This one is a little bit bigger in the X as well. Let me go with that, and I'm just going to bump up the scale slightly as well. Should be good there. Let's play those moves. I'm not sure about that last move. I'm going to delete that last move, or at least suppress it. Now we come in with our wrap to faces, picking our leaves again, pick the face, origin. Okay, we want that rotation back. Where was it? 55, something like that. Maybe not so quite heavy. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Let me just try and move the origin slightly down. Okay, I'm going to confirm it there. Okay, the last wrap, we're wrapping this one leaf. Top datum plane, pick the face, the origin. Okay, we'll give it a 180 rotation. We're dropping it in here. Like that, and I think that is good. Maybe we'll scale it slightly down. Let's move it down a bit more. And that looks pretty good to me. Confirm. Let's erase these shapes, and we'll erase the datum planes that we no longer need. Okay, so that was a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, but we got them in there eventually, and it's going to look very nice, so let's save the work there.